Well, folks, this is it. The season and quite possibly series finale for Tyler Perry's Bruh. As of right now, the show has not been renewed for a new season. And for those who are like, Jeremy, what about earlier this year when they announced like well over a dozen Tyler Perry projects getting renewed at BET and BET Plus and whatnot? Now, from what I can tell, when they renewed Bruh, that fell under the umbrella of, oh, we're bringing Bruh back for another season, aka we're finally going to release the episodes filmed in late 2022 as the new season. And I will do a season retrospective video, even though it's only 10 episodes, but overall, you all can tell from the scores and just my tone during the reviews that I've enjoyed this season. I truly have. And I will say that I'm giving this episode, and I did spoil this in my episode 9 review, but I'm giving this episode a 9 out of 10. Honestly, it would be a 10 out of 10, but it does feel unfair that I'm giving it a 9 simply because it's not a full story or a true series season finale. This certainly feels more like a mid-season finale as opposed to a season finale, because you could tell they wanted to continue the story, but for whatever reason, the powers that be opted to just cut things off here. Now, if this is the end, what a way to go out. I mean, season 4 truly redeemed the mediocre season 3, in my opinion. This was the best season of the series. And without further ado, we're going to do this one last time. Decent Proposal, season 4, episode 10, score of a 9 out of 10. So, it looks like it's the next morning. I'm going to say it's the next morning because Tom is getting ready to go for work. Turns out that he's been sleeping on the couch while having Claudia sleep in his bed. And, you know, she's really thankful for it. And it's like, yeah, just text me whatever you want to eat or drink and I'll bring it by the place so you can, you know, have some food and drink. There you go. But my question is this. Don't Tom and Greg, don't they work like the same shifts or very similar shifts at the hospital? So my question would be, wouldn't Greg see Tom sleeping on the couch and be like, hey, Tom, why are you sleeping on the couch? I don't know. But we find out that later in the episode, when Darla and Greg come into the apartment and they're going back and forth about, you know, who's at fault. But honestly, it's just Darla going off on how does a hospital lose one of its patients? And I'm thinking like, well, aren't you all supposed to be guarding the room? And like I said in episode 9, when Jack just strolled on in there to strangle his wife, I don't believe there was a cop at the door. I mean, to be fair though, we only saw Jack coming in from the inside as opposed to the hallway shot. So we couldn't really see if the door was unguarded and he just walked on in there. I mean, or because, you know, it's said that he has connections within the precinct, the cop on duty could have been on his payroll, hence why he was able to just stroll in the way he did. So that's something else to take into consideration here. But yeah, Darla's making it all about, you know, how it's the hospital's fault. Then they find Claudia and basically they're all just yelling at each other like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Tom brought me here is like to protect me. And essentially they call Tom because, you know, everybody's just yelling and Tom comes to the apartment to figure things out. Now, to get to the point, it's everybody against Tom because, you know, Darla's all about, look, we need to call, you know, the station right now to, you know, fill you in because, to basically turn you in because the entire precinct is looking for you right now. And Darla doesn't believe that there are crooked cops at her job. And the thing is, I mean, Darla, she's being as stubborn as the detective and the people at the hospital when Tom was trying to tell them, it's like, look, her husband's dangerous and will kill her. And there have been a couple of attempts already. And yet you're all talking about all the red tape and everything. And it's like, how hard is it for you to believe that there are people inside the precinct who are doing things like this when you actually fought off a guy masquerading himself as a hospital employee who tried to smother Claudia. So for Darla to act like, oh, there's no crooked cops in my precinct, that Jack doesn't have connections, I felt like was a bit just, it was a tough pill to, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's like watching an episode of Scooby-Doo and Vilma and the group acting like Shaggy and Scooby are crazy. Oh, you didn't see a ghost or whatever. And at that point in the series, it's like, okay, they haven't been to Zombie Island and whatnot yet. So, or the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. So even though Shaggy and Scooby probably didn't see a legit ghost, you all run into costume criminals all the time. So if they saw something a bit strange, it's probably something like that. And why the heck would you dismiss them? That's how it felt weird to me, how Darla was like, there's no crooked people in the precinct. It's like, there's no way your husband, Jack, could, influence things like that, when yet again, the quote unquote employee at the hospital was able to pull it off. So again, he does have these connections. So for you to act like it's impossible is really strange to me. And the point is made, is like, look, doctors are supposed to save lives at the hospitals, not save lives outside of work and things like that. So it's like the ethical, circumstances of Tom's choices. But in reality, and I can't really fault them for this, they don't want to lose their jobs because, helping Claudia is important. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, we're all going to be in the unemployment line for breaking our, laws and respective, basically breaking the law, breaking the oaths they took at the hospital and at the police station. And the most risky thing is the fact that if her husband finds out that Claudia is at the apartment, there's a very good chance everybody in proximity is in danger. I mean, let's say if Greg didn't even know about it, let's say Claudia thing, he never found out about it. Him living with Tom would basically make him a target. Darla being right down the hallway and, now knowing about this, she's in danger. So it's pretty wild. I mean, on the one hand, you want to help Claudia. I get it. As an audience member, I feel like the show did a great job of making it hard to choose, like, whose side are you on? Like, obviously the right thing to do would be to help her. But at the same time, it's like, okay, put yourself in, let's say, Darla or Greg's position. How would you feel if given the choice? I mean, there's a lot riding on this, like, is my livelihood, worth giving up to save this one woman? It's kind of like the trolley problem. And then again, you also have to think about it from the perspective of Darla and Greg just walked into this. They had no idea Claudia was there. But now that they know, there's the internal struggle of, do I tell anybody? What do I do? And if Tom gets caught, there's a good chance I'm going to get some, backlash. Because, wait, Greg, did you know about this too? You live with him. You see what I mean there? So it's very interesting to see whether or not this will actually, I don't know how it's going to play out because we probably will never find out. So Tom, Darla goes back to her place just to clear her head. Greg goes for a walk, and I'm thinking like Darla's probably going to call the precinct. I don't know. But we'll just have to wait and see. So Tom is basically taking upon himself to try to figure out what's what. So what we do see later on is a cold scene where Jack meets up with a few of his goons, including the guy from the hospital that he sent over there. And he goes in on him about saying that, look, you said you would take care of my wife, dead or alive, and she's still out there. And he goes in on his like, well, I told you if we would have waited for her to be released from the hospital, there would have been a better chance to killed him. Just shot him a few times. And he tells his other goons $100,000 to whoever can get my wife and bring her here. So that's pretty much the main drama of the episode. There's the other stuff, but it's mainly, well, quote unquote, lighthearted compared to what we saw with Claudia. So the episode actually, during the opening minutes, aside from the Tom and Claudia stuff, we go over to Bill's apartment, or Bill and, well, I guess Regina does live there again now. So basically Bill and Regina's apartment, and she made breakfast. Bill, wearing a robe, is rushing the meal. He's just, chowing down on the food, slurping up the orange juice. And, Regina makes a point like, you usually don't wear a robe. You're always strutting around here without a shirt on, showing off your body. And he's like, no, 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 no. I got a bit cold last night. It's like, I was actually hot. Something must be wrong with me. So he gets called out for being suspicious in terms of his behavior while Regina's on the phone with Pam. And Pam is like, oh, you should ask him about it, because if he's doing something, if you have a feeling, then he's probably doing something suspicious. And I feel like this is follow up on the conversation Pam had with John off screen in episode 9. And Bill, I believe he's like in the bedroom or the bathroom, and he's listening in. He's like, oh, crap. So it turns out, Regina learns from Pam that Pam, is over at Mike setting things up since he's getting out of rehab. But it's kind of official that she's officially moved on. But also she feels that, okay, I need to avoid Mike because I have a feeling that he's going to want to propose to me. So from there, we go over to the sandwich shop. John, Alice, and Laura are talking. John's in a suit and everything. Apparently, he sold 2 packages of product. And I wonder if that includes what he sold to Bill in regards to the cologne. And I don't know who else he may have sold something to. I don't think it was Laura. I know Laura was, drank that stuff before, but I don't think she bought anything. So maybe he made a sale off screen. And, he's made a bit of a come up. He's like, hey, dress for success. And, I'm going to a conference and about, making money, growing money, this, that, and the third. And with the money I've made from what I have sold so far, I'll take you all to somewhere nice for dinner tonight. And Mike comes in looking and feeling great. Apparently he just came back from the gym. And he's there to talk with John about his plans to propose to Pam. Look, I'm ready to be a one-woman man. I see things a lot differently. And everybody's excited. They're impressed by the ring, and they're hoping things go well. Oh, boy. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Now, Mike actually is back at his apartment. He sees everything is, all put together, all of his favorite groceries and everything. He calls Pam to thank her and just leaves a voicemail. So Bill actually comes in, and they kind of compare and contrast their particular relationships so far. With Mike saying, yeah, I'm ready to be a one-woman man. And just like you, man. Yeah. Wait, you cheating on Regina again? With who? Natalie or Claudia? Kind of both. And I'm thinking, I don't know if it's both because, well, you haven't really seen or talked to Claudia since she was in the hospital, so I guess that's kind of over with now. But in any case, Mike, like John, calls out Bill for being a sex addict. And Mike basically goes Zen mode. But here's the thing, though. I like the fact that, yeah, he did 2 months of rehab. And when Bill tries to call him out for judging him, he's like, no, no, no. I'm not judging because I'm not perfect. Obviously, I have my own addictions that I'm fought off, but temptation is still a thing. So it's best not to lead yourself into temptation. And I love how this conversation went from someone who is beating their own demons versus someone who has seemingly no intention to remove himself from temptation or get into cheating situations, despite the fact that you would think after the Claudia slip up, Bill would do better, but that's clearly not what he's doing. Now, he says that, yeah, I'm going to go face temptation head on and cut things off with Natalie. And Mike is like, bro, you might not want to do that. I feel like if you put yourself in that situation, you're going to falter. No, man, I'm strong. I got this. Well, hey, I'm going to get myself ready so I can do this proposal. And Bill mentions how he overheard Regina and Pam on the phone this morning. And I don't know, there was a lot of kiki cuckooing, and I don't know, man. You might want to be careful with that. I don't think it's the right move. And it's like, don't worry, I know my woman. Sure you do. So both men do the opposite of what it was recommended they do. With Mike, he actually catches Pam right as she's about to, do the last of the fixing up the loft. I believe she had told Regina that she had moved all of her stuff out already. So basically everything that's in the loft is Mike's, and she was just going to slip out and I guess maybe do a Dear John letter or text or whatever to Mike about how she's essentially moved on. And unfortunately, Mike catches her just as she's about to leave. And unfortunately for Pam, Mike proposes. Now, I personally do not feel bad for Pam because she had every opportunity to tell Mike throughout the season that she had found someone else. But I understand why she didn't do what she wanted to do, what she needed to do, because out of fear, Mike might relapse. But would it have been better for him to relapse while he was still in rehab, while he could potentially get help? Or better yet, I don't want to say relapse, but Mike might have the temptation to relapse, and while he was still in the rehab program, he can look, my girl dumped me. I want to use again. I need you to kind of help fix me, because now it's like he made it through the program. He's on cloud nine. His world could come tumbling down because of Pam. And I don't mean to blame Pam for this and whatnot. I'm trying not to, but I'm just thinking the longer she avoided the conversation, the worse it got. Because think of it this way. Mike was constantly blowing up her phone, using her as kind of his anchor. In a way, she was like his new addiction outside of drugs. So if Pam removes herself from his life after using or allowing him to use her as a tether, he could fall apart again. And then it might be a situation where the bros are mad at her because Mike fell off because of her. Or it could be a situation where out of guilt, she goes back to Mike, and then he'll get what he wants, but probably not in the way that he wanted it. So it's kind of a lose-lose for Pam, but the best thing to do would have been to rip off the Band-Aid a lot sooner than she did. So then the final thing to talk about here is the yoga studio where, Bill, opposite of what Mike suggested, goes over there to cut things off. Now he's like, cut the bullshit. You're not here to cut things off. It's like what we're doing is wrong, yada, yada, yada. So she, look, I got an hour before I'm in my next class. I just took a shower. She took her shoes off, got on her knees, and started, going to town on the chocolate ride. And Bill was distracted. She takes off her panties and slips them into his bag. So it's like, ruh-roh. If Regina finds out, and speaking of, Regina's suspicious, she uses GPS to detect, wait a minute, okay, he's gone over to his boy's apartment, okay, Mike's place, Tom's place, yoga studio. She calls Pam about it, and it's like, wait a minute, is there a yoga studio in this part of town? Yeah, that's the one I go to. Any gyms down there? Not that I know of. So from there, Bill's in the shower, and Regina's like, oh, I'm coming to join you. And of course, he still has that giant hickey on his chest. So he hops out of the shower without turning around, puts a towel on that side of his body. And then Regina's like, are you really going to the yoga studio for working out or gym or whatever? No, are you going to the gym or the yoga studio? I'm just working out, baby. And then she just goes back to the shower because she knows Bill ain't acting right. Man, oh man. So aside from that, John takes Alice and Laura out to a nice place for dinner and whatnot. Alice goes to Bible study. Praise the Lord. And Laura's there talking with John, and Laura being Laura, she's checking him out and whatnot. And John stands up to order some more drinks, and she's checking out his package. Basically his blessings incorporated, if you will. And while he's talking to her about the products and whatnot, about how, look, you don't have to be a team member. I mean, you can use some of the products and, pop up at meetings doing testimonials. So there are multiple ways you can contribute to the brand without necessarily putting up $1,500. And all the while she's hearing different things like, yeah, the paperwork, we can go back to my place and I can sex you up right now. Huh? We can go back to my place and I can set you up right now at the paperwork. So they opt to go. And I'm thinking, Lord, is she going to come on to John? How is he going to react to this? Is he not still feeling Rain? Because that's what I was thinking about in episode 9. I'm like, wait, what about that hooker that he paid to come over to Mike's place? I mean, then again, Rain did say no business and pleasure. Also, no freaking Rain. I mean, I'm pissed off. She was only in 2 episodes. Good Lord. I wanted more. Okay. But that's it. That's essentially the end of the series, folks. Or the end of the season. Possibly the end of the series. So Will Pam accept Mike's proposal or let him down gently, but he'll relapse? Will Regina find the panties? Got the drawers. Will Jack's crew find his wife? Will Tom, Darla, and Greg lose their jobs and potentially their lives too, depending on Jack's goons coming after him? Will Jack ever find out Bill was the one that Claudia was having the affair with to begin with? Will Laura put it on John at his place? The list goes on. So many questions, but sadly we may never get answers. So with that being said, this is quite possibly the final Bruh review. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video that won't be Bruh related because, well, there's nothing else to talk about.